Coming up on a special edition of AOPA Live this week, direct from Oshkosh. We're staying on top of all the hot new product announcements this week and marking 40 years of the Vans RV with a very special flyover. Plus, all the sights and sounds that Oshkosh has to offer. AOPA Live this week from AirVenture 2012 starts right now.
Seven and a half thousand miles from New Zealand, and we're ready for Oshkosh.
And we are too. Hello and welcome to Oshkosh for our special AirVenture 2012 preview edition of AOPA Live this week. I'm Paul here up in for Tom Haynes. He'll be here later in the week. We're going to bring you special editions on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so be sure to check that out because there's a lot of things to see here. As you can see, the booths are already set up. Aviat Aircraft has their planes all out here, including this bright red Pitts on full display, but it takes a lot of work to put these booths together. AOPA Live's Warren Morningstar has a look at what went into making it all happen.
Oshkosh is ready.
But tonight, before the show opens, it sure doesn't look like they're going to be ready. But you know, that's one of the amazing things about this massive show. Somehow they managed to pull it all together.
And massive is the right word when you consider some of the numbers.
We're looking at about 500,000 of our closest aviation friends being here this year, along with more than 10,000 airplanes coming to the area.
And they'll park 5,000 of those airplanes on Whitman Field, the rest tie down at nearby airports. Now, all of those people will have to eat, and what's their favorite food?
The brats here are absolutely fabulous, and we eat them literally every day.
They eat a lot of brats.
We cook on average around 10 to 12,000 brats for the whole week.
But that's just one vendor.
We will probably be someplace, and I know this, someplace between 25,000 and 40,000 bratwursts during the course of the week, just on these grounds. Who knows where else in town they may grab them.
Dick also knows how many porta potties on the grounds, about 1,100. The porta potties, tents, and other structures started arriving weeks ago. Exhibitors started coming in last week.
Been here since Thursday, so we've been putting the whole booth together. Airplanes have been coming in and getting them tied down, getting them landscaped, and takes quite a bit of doing.
Lots of other manufacturers put a lot of doing into their displays. There have been changes through the years.
Two things I noticed, and they're both bigger. First of all, the motorhomes that people bring in. It's not pop-up tent campers anymore, and it's not little tents, pup tents. People are bringing in huge motorhomes and so forth. The other thing, the size of the exhibit tents. When you used to have a 20 by 40 tent here on the grounds, it was considered a large exhibit tent. Now we have people such as Honda and Ford that have 15 and 20,000 square foot exhibits. And so it is really substantial, and it's a sign of the growth, the evolution, and really the visibility that this show has around the world.
But even with all the exhibits, even being the biggest air show in the world, what is it that brings folks back to Oshkosh year after year?
We come back every year because of the people. It's like coming back to your family because you see the same people every year and you meet new friends. That's nice too.
Yes, it is. Warren Morningstar, AOPA Live.
One of the most impressive sights here at AirVenture is the massive sea of airplanes that have been flown in by pilots from all around the world. They started arriving last week and a steady stream continues to flow in. Just about every model you can imagine is here, from warbirds to home builds and beyond, are all on the grounds. I arrived Saturday afternoon along with some of my fellow AOPA colleagues. We had a great time getting here by General Aviation in the AOPA Cessna Caravan. Here's a look at our trip. We loaded up and piled in, putting the workhorse Cessna Caravan to good use on a Saturday morning.
Hey Mark, what's the identifier for Jackson? Thank you.
As we planned our flight, the weather was a big consideration.
I'm just loading in our flight plan and picking up the weather.
Frederick was socked in with IMC.
On a cruddy, AWOS reported temperature and dew point were equal this morning.
That means rain and lots of it, as AOPA Aviation Technical Specialist Ferdy Mack explains.
Right now here at Frederick, it's 2.5 mile visibility, heavy rain, broken at 800, broken at 1200, overcast 28, temperature 18, dew point 18.
But with the flight plan filed, we were cleared for takeoff and soon rose above the clouds, climbing out to 10,000 on our way to Jackson, Michigan for a fuel stop.
I got a hat for you now.
On the ground, AOPA pilot Mark Evans ran into an old friend, and we made some new ones. And you know you're in the Great Lakes region when a Bayliner is parked among the bonanzas on the ramp. All kidding aside, there was some serious preparation needed before the next leg, which would take us right over Lake Michigan.
Yeah, we're going to be flying over water, so we're going to have some life preservers, or life vests.
We took off and climbed out. Next stop, Oshkosh. Before we even began our descent, we could hear the traffic from the busy field.
Flagman, welcome to Oshkosh. Thank you. White RV, start your descent on the right downwind. Got a dark RV. Start the right base now through the numbers. Runway 27, clear to land, orange dot. Cherokee, be following the RV ahead on the downwind.
Being a turboprop, we got to come in on the turbine and warbird approach, which allowed for 130 knots.
Caravan, you're going to be following L39 there east on the base there. I believe it's running now.
We followed in other traffic stacked in tight before we got on the ground and were directed by Civil Air Patrol volunteers to the Basler FBO, where our big trusty Cessna will sleep while we have fun here at AirVenture. And as you just saw, the approach to AirVenture is like nothing else you will ever experience. Pilots are not in two-way radio communication with the tower. The best controllers in the country are brought in for the week. They spot airplanes entering the pattern and talk one way. They'll call out something like yellow high wing, rock your wings. Once they see that you're listening, they stack you in behind other traffic and give you a specific spot to land on the runway, sometimes landing several aircraft at once. Pilot Andy Cobb studied the approach and still said he was nervous flying it for the first time.
The approach here at Oshkosh, we were pretty nervous coming in today just because of the sheer number of aircraft. It's all visual separation until you get to rip on and the controllers are talking to you. There are a lot of aircraft coming into the same location. So a little nerve-wracking coming in, but surprised how smoothly it went once we were into the geographic area of the airport.
Now, not all arrivals are quite like that. Some models have mass fly-in formations. We'll show you Comes to Oshkosh later in the week, but today was all about the Vans RV line. It's been 40 years since it was introduced, and pilots from around the country got together to mark that with a very special formation flyover. AOPA Live's Eric Brown has the story.
It's been 40 years since a company launched that would change the game for home builds. The Vans Aircraft Company, maker of the RV line of home builds, is being honored for the anniversary. To mark 4 decades, a group of RV pilots from all over the country put together a special tribute to a special line of airplanes. Stu McCurdy hatched the plan.
2 or 3 months ago that I said, how about Falcon flight up front in a Delta, and then we'll do the numbers 4-0.
More than 40 airplanes participated. That took a lot of teamwork.
You know, everybody just absolutely a team player, and if they're great, it's just part of aviation. Just why I love aviation. I've done it all my life.
Bill Gunn flew up from Austin in his RV-4.
I've actually owned my airplane for 16 years, and I've put about 2,000 hours on it. So I've had a lot of time. I've had a lot of cross countries. I've never really had any problems. My wife and I have traveled all over the country in it, and I just love the airplane.
Bill is not alone in his love of the low-winged craft. Airplane after airplane taxied by, showing off many of the different models. Over the years, the models have evolved from the simple RV-1 all the way to the 4-seater RV-10. Stu says that's because the designer, Richard Van Grunsven, listens to pilots and what they want out of the machine.
So every response from the flying public, who is sport-oriented, he designed a new airplane.
The formation honors that line that means so much to so many.
It's an honor, you know, it's really an honor to be here at the right place at the right time.
The right time, spelled out in the Wisconsin sky. Eric Brown, AOPA Live.
Now, while the RV line of airplanes has evolved over the years, so too have the engine options. One company is working on a jet turboprop engine for the RV-10 to replace the recommended Lycoming 540. The goal is to increase reliability for the pilot and to provide an option for those pilots around the world that have a hard time getting avgas. The engine is also about 300 pounds lighter than the 540s. Peter Pierpont with Dymec Turbines says there are a lot of benefits.
The benefit, of course, is it's much lighter, it's much simpler, more reliable, and with the FADEC system, it reflects current technology.
The cost, about 100 grand plus accessories. The engine is made in the Czech Republic. Flight testing is set to begin soon. Of course, many manufacturers come to Oshkosh to make some big product announcements. Later this morning, this cloth is expected to come off and reveal a big announcement from Cessna. From what we can see, bet that it will have something to do with a new engine in this 182. We'll bring you all the news as it happens here at Oshkosh. Check AOPA.org for up-to-the-minute updates, and then we'll have more for you on our special AOPA Live This Week shows on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. There is so much to see, so much to do, and quite frankly, so much to eat here at AirVenture. You could spend a week here and not cover everything. We're going to try to leave you with some sights and sounds so you can soak in as much of it as possible. I think I'm going to go check out one of these famous Wisconsin bratwursts. Sounds really good. For Tom Haynes, I'm Paul Harrop. Thanks for watching.